What's up, party people, and welcome to Stoniecast number 150 in Season 5, Episode 12 of Thoughts and Hunches, Making Money in Bunches and Sucker Punches. It's your boy Stony coming back at you for the 150th time. This is like a landmark Stoniecast here. I can't believe I'm at 150, and it's on the day after the election. And I'd like to welcome all of my fellow scumbags, hoodlums, lowlife, shady characters, heathens, scoundrels, altar boys with unhealthy relationships with their priests, hustlers, wise guys, people that give themselves nicknames and speak in the third person, unacceptable. Foul-mouthed, raging alcoholics, MLB players that have got into a fight with Bryce Harper, you know who you are. Cheats, disasters that take pride in a $4 profit on the WNBA, also unacceptable. Gangsters, fienders with abusive language, degenerates. Let's face it, anybody with a massive gambling problem. If you're new to the show, hey, you probably fit into one or a few of those categories, so welcome, because you're now one of us. One of us. One of us. Gooba gaba, one of us. We accepted one of us. Sorry, sometimes I get a little carried away there. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down right in the lower right-hand corner right here. Ring that bell. You get notified every time I put out a new video. To spread the word's also very easy. Just tell other degenerates and scumbags you know, like Josh G, to go to YouTube and enter Thoughts and Hunches in the search bar. That's going to take you right to my page so you can get dialed into everything that I give you. Also, if you're new and you don't know what's what with this channel, it's college and pro football winners, MLB playoff winners, which are over now, and college basketball winners. The books don't expect a guy like me to deliver this many winners. I'm an outlier and a disruptor. I'm like the Beastie Boys. I disrupt.
Step inside the party, disrupt the whole scene.
God, I could do that over and over and over. Can't get enough. Right? That's what I do, though. I go to the mattresses and I get the info for you every week in order to get you to the window with a ticket to cash. Now, before I get to the picks, as usual, I have some thoughts. I missed on the Al Pacino, give me all you got, so I'll just give me all you got. I've gone in before on Fox broadcaster Gus Johnson, and I have to continue now. The guy has got to go. I have no idea why the media paints this guy as one of the best broadcasters in the business, but he's Fox's number one play-by-play man for college football. Inexplicable. Every play is the greatest thing he's ever seen. There's a throw to the end zone, the corner, touchdown. And we still got 45 minutes to go in the game. He's screaming and yelling 4 minutes into a 60-minute game. He has Joel Klatt right next to him as his color analyst, and Klatt is one of the best in the business. So he's going to make Johnson or anybody look better than he is, right? The one that really gets me, though, is his use of the term world-famous Ohio State University. It's just ridiculous. I understand why he does it, but he doesn't have to do it 20 times per broadcast. There's your drinking game. Get some drinks, line them up, and every time Gus Johnson says world-famous Ohio State, boom, have one. You'll be ripped by halftime. Ripped. Right? There are times when Fox is headed to a commercial and he'll say, Penn State 10, world-famous 7. What the hell? Enough is enough. He claims he does it because, as a child, he was taught by his father about Jesse Owens and said that because of what Owens did for the world, Ohio State will always be world famous. Sorry, I don't give a shit, so just stop saying it. If you didn't get enough of it last weekend versus Penn State, Johnson and Klatt will be again on the call against Ohio State this week against Purdue, which is going to be a bloodbath. So just because of that, though, I'm not going to watch it. I'm waiting for Kamala Harris for her concession speech. This is just a wonderful day. Watching CNN and MSDNC try to squirm their way around and backtrack. It's just hilarious. Ugh. Kamala Harris. I guess there won't be much laughing today, though. All right. Anyway, forget that. I'm not going to get too political today, although I am in a good mood. Next up is the state of the NFL. This is a downer. There are some really god-awful teams in the NFL this season, and I don't ever recall a season where the top teams in the league with a realistic shot at the Super Bowl is way less than about half the league, which is unwatchable. 6 or 7 teams have a shot. 6 or 7 are 500, and they aren't going anywhere, all right? And the rest of the league is just bad. When looking at the teams with winning records, you have to look at who they've played. Because there are teams like Denver, Buffalo, and Washington, just to name a few, haven't beaten anyone with a winning record, but they're going to cruise into the playoffs. Here's just a quick list of the worst teams in the league, without really even thinking. Carolina, Las Vegas, Tennessee, Cleveland, Dolphins, both New York teams, Jets and Giants, Cowboys. I mean, I could keep going, but only 2 of those teams have 3 wins. And no chance whatsoever as we come up on the halfway point of the season. At the top of the heap, you got the Chiefs, the Lions, the Ravens, the Bills, the Steelers, the Vikings, the Eagles, the Packers. That's about it. I don't consider Washington to be in that group. But unless something wild happens, one of the teams I just mentioned is going to win the Super Bowl. The rest of the teams are all incredibly flawed and not going anywhere. When handicapping games, I look to see who's beaten other good teams, and not many have, and it's pathetic. It really is. Now let's move on to Stoney's NCAA Top 12 rankings, and I'll do this every week until the final 12 are selected. These are based on current AP rankings and what I've seen on the field. So some teams may have higher rankings than others based on who they've beaten. And my number one rule is that the undefeated teams are always ranked higher than the 1 or 2 loss teams. So the top 5 teams are going to be unbeaten. I'll start at the top with Oregon as they continue to roll through the Big Ten. That one's easy. Number 2 is Indiana, who's grossly underrated because they are not just beating teams, but they're rolling. Number 3 is BYU, and that's undeniable as they continue to win and cover. Number 4 is Miami with a bad defense, but an offense that can score on anyone, and nobody on their schedule that they should lose to until the playoff, which they'll get schooled in. Number 5 is Army because 8-0's 8-0. That's it for the unbeatens, right? Number 6 is Ohio State, who I believe is the best one-loss team in the country. Number 7 is Georgia for now. Number 8 is Tennessee, who I'll take every day over the next few teams. And those are number 9, Notre Dame, who's just crushing everybody in their path. Number 10, Texas, whose major weakness is probably their head coach. Number 11 is Penn State. See Texas, head coach issues. Although everybody loves James Franklin, but he just can't win the big one. Number 12 is Boise State, who deserves it regardless of what people think about him. Okay, argue all you want, but I don't care, right? I know college football, and that's what I've seen so far. So look out for my new list next week as we have a few more big games coming up this weekend. There will be more losses and more movement in my rankings. Finally, I'm officially off the reverse turf home underdog angle in the NFL. I know it'll probably come back to haunt me, but after a good start to the season in the NFL on this angle, 1-6 in their last 7 does nothing for me. And all 3 Sunday night games were blowout losses. Cleveland, the Giants, and Green Bay all got toasted. So I may take them if I like them, but I'm no longer beholden to them. As for the week that was, 3-1 in the MLB is what it is, as there were only the last 2 games of the World Series. But in all honesty, I'm glad baseball season's over, as MLB numbers for me were just brutal. The season, and it just did nothing but cost me money all year, right? NCAA football was another big week, though, right? After I missed the lone Friday night game played, then proceeded to drop a top-notch 12-5 Saturday on the books to get me to above 60% on the season in college football. It's safe to say your boy's on a heater. NFL, I hit Thursday again and didn't do so well in the 1 p.m. starts on Sunday, going 3-5-1. But I then delivered 4-1 the rest of Sunday and hit on Monday night to cap off a very good and solid 9-6-1 in the NFL for another winning week. College hoops was only 1 day of betting during the week. So that was Monday, and I went 6-5 on opening night. Last night's plays were the start of the new week, so those don't count. But let's take a look at all the updated numbers. Last week, 30 wins, 18 losses, 1 push, 62.56%. Again, just top notch. 2 weeks in a row, well into the 60s. Almost like Donald Trump in the 60s, seems like. NCAA football regular season, 127 wins, 84 losses, and 1 push, 60.19%, another point up, and over 60% on the season after 2 huge weeks. NFL regular season, 81 wins, 59 losses, 6 pushes, 57.86%, which is solid all the way around. NCAA basketball regular season, like I said, Monday night, 6-5. That's 54.54% one night. MLB playoffs, 50 wins, 52 losses to close out the season, 49.02%. Finished the postseason 2 games under 500, which was costly to my overall numbers, which after all 11 picks, every single pick that I've given you so far on all 11 Stoniecasts, 265 wins, 200 losses, 7 pushes, 56.99% and rising. They just keep coming. That's what they do. Teddy?
Pay him. Pay that man his money.
Now, remember that all these picks that I give you are 100% free. So for all the touts that give you 75 to 80% winners, come on. We all know you're full of shit. Plus, you're charging for these picks.
Oh!
Yeah, how does that happen? Right? Just come to my YouTube page every week, and I'll drop my plays on you for free. So you don't have to listen to, oh! Okay, ready? Away we go. Episode number 12. Let's get it all started with some action tonight. 7 Eastern on ESPN2 at Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo, where 4-4 Northern Illinois is a 1.5-point road chalk at 5-3 Western Michigan, and the total's 52.5. NIU was the better team a month ago, but they've lost 2 straight and 3 out of 5. But Western Michigan has ripped off 4 straight after a 1-3 start, and they're feeling themselves right now. Their offense is on fire, so give me WMU at home, catching a point with a little something sprinkled in on that money line.
Sprinkle me, man.
Speaking of that, with all those numbers that I gave you the winning week last week, there were a lot of sprinkles and a lot of money line winners. Plus, you throw into the fact that I hit the Thursday night game, the Degenerate special Saturday night, NFL Sunday Night Football, NFL Monday Night Football. When you hit all the night games like that, big week. Very big week. Before we move on to more football, there's some college hoops tonight. But I got to tell you, for the first couple weeks of the NCAA season, there's going to be a lot of mismatches with D1 schools going up against D2 schools as scrimmages now count in your win-loss record. A lot of the time, pickings are going to be slim. I went 6-5 on Monday to tip off the season, but I went 4-2 last night to start off the new week. So I'm already rolling away at 10-7. Let's see what we can come up with tonight. 6 p.m. Eastern in Piscataway, Rutgers is a 20-point home favorite over Wagner, and the total's 129.5. Rutgers wins, but Wagner has enough to get the cover, possibly through the back door. 7 Eastern in Stores, third-ranked and 2-time defending national champion Connecticut, is a huge 33.5-point home favorite versus Sacred Heart, and the total's 149. Sacred Heart lost but covered at Temple on Monday night. Tonight they're just screwed. I'm crazy, but I also don't give a shit, so I'm going to go out of my mind here. Give me Connecticut and lay 33.5. 7 Eastern in Stoneadelphia, Villanova's a 17-point home favorite versus Columbia, and the total's 143.5. Columbia beat Loyola Maryland on Monday and won't win this one, but will get the cover. Give me Columbia plus 17.5. 8 Eastern in Fayetteville, 16th ranked Arkansas is a 14-point home favorite over Lipscomb, and the total's 160.5. Lipscomb's 1-0, but now they have to be the victims in John Calipari's first game as the Razorbacks head coach. Arkansas minus 14. 8 Eastern on the Plains, 11th ranked Auburn is a 14.5-point home chalk versus 1-0 Vermont, and the total's 143. I like Vermont a lot in the America East this year, but Bruce Pearl's going to roll it up on the Tigers in the Tigers opener tonight. Auburn minus 14.5. That's the play. 8 Eastern in Colin Baton Rouge, Louisiana State is a 22-point home favorite versus Louisiana Monroe, and the total's 150.5. LSU's at home for their opener at the Maravich, but this is a big number. Ulamo gets the cover plus 22. 8 Eastern in Stoneyappolis, Minnesota's a 16-point home favorite versus Oral Roberts, and the total's 144. Minnesota's tough and nice, but ORU is fast and can shoot it from distance. Give me ORU, plus 16. 9 Eastern in Logan. Utah State opens their season at home as 24.5-point favorites versus 0-1 Alcorn State, and the total is 152. Utah State will be dangerous this year, very dangerous in the Mountain West, but this is too many points against a veteran team. Alcorn State plus 24.5. And lastly, at 10 Eastern in the 619, San Diego State is an 11.5-point home favorite over UC San Diego, and the total is 143.5. I used to say always, take a Cal State school over a UC school. I don't do that anymore, but except here. San Diego State minus 11.5 to close out Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, we got NFL action at 8:15 Eastern on Amazon at M&T Bank Stadium, where Baltimore, the 6-3 Ravens, are 6.5-point home favorites versus 4-5 Cincinnati, and the total is 52.5. Baltimore beat Cincy last month in the jungle, and aside from their major hiccup loss to Cleveland 2 weeks ago, the Ravens have been money. Cincy's won 3 out of 4 against the worst competition in the NFL. Raiders, Browns, and Giants were the victims. Yeah, that's top notch. The Giants usually are these games, they're usually very close in division. But King Henry has another gear and another big night. Ravens roll. Baltimore minus 6.5. After missing last Friday night's game, I'm now 14-8 on Friday nights this season. So let's get it going. 8 Eastern, Friday night on ACC Network at Allegacy Federal Credit Union Stadium in Winston-Salem, where 4-4 Cal is a 7-point road favorite at 4-4 Wake Forest, and the total's 54.5. In both schools' last 6 games each, there have only been 2 games that weren't nail-biters. This will be another one, so I'll take all 7 of those points with Wake Forest at home against the Golden Showers from Cal. Also on Friday night at 9 Eastern on Big Fox at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, 6-3 Iowa is a 6.5-point road favorite at 3.5 at 3-5 UCLA, and the total's 44.5. Don't know how I screwed that one up. Last week I hit the Wisconsin-Iowa over.
Hooah!
Oh, yeah, I did. Get ready, I'll be on standby because I got lots of them. You're welcome, by the way. And I also hit UCLA plus the points last week in an outright win in the land of Lincoln over Nebraska. Al?
Hooah!
That's right. You're welcome for that one, too.
Hooah!
You're welcome. Keep them coming, Al.
Hooah!
Attaboy, Al. There's many more. Both schools have won 2 straight. Iowa at home twice and UCLA on the road twice. Iowa wins because UCLA will not win 5 games, but they will cover this one. Bruins at home catching 6 and a chunk. Moving on to an incredibly huge NCAA Saturday. Let's get it started. Noon Eastern on ESPN at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Hotlanta, where 4th-ranked Miami is an 11.5-point road favorite at 5-4 Georgia Tech, and the total 63.5. Miami still hasn't beaten anyone even halfway decent or even close to a winning record. And Tech has dropped 2 straight after a solid 5-2 start. But this is a big number for Miami to lay on the road. The key here is that both teams have bad defenses. If Miami scores into the 40s, which they will, this one goes over 63.5, which it will in Hot Town. Noon Eastern on NBC at SHI Stadium in Piscataway. 6-3 Minnesota's a 6.5-point road chalk at 4-4 Rutgers, and the total's 46.5. Minnie's ripped off 4 straight and have covered 5 of 6, while Rutgers has dropped 4 out of straight. They've dropped 4 straight, and right now they're clearly struggling. Joe?
Struggling.
Joe?
Struggling.
Keep them coming.
Struggling.
Thanks, Joe. Oh, thank you, Joe. Needed that. Minnie wins it, but I'm going to take the 6.5 with Rutgers here at home. Noon Eastern on Big Fox at the Giant Horseshoe in Columbus. 3rd-ranked, world-famous Ohio State University is a massive 38.5-point home chalk versus 1-7 Purdue, and the total's 53.5. Purdue's a complete catastrophe. Lost 35-0 at home to Oregon 2 weeks ago. This one's going to be worse. I'm crazy, but I also don't give a shit. Give me the world-famous Ohio State minus 38 and a hook. Noon Eastern on ABC, we get Saturdays in the South with the 3 Fs. Faith, family, and football. at the DKR in Austin, where 5th-ranked Texas is a 21.5-point home favorite versus 4-4 Florida, and the total's 47.5. Texas bounced back from their lone loss by beating Vanderbilt last week, though they didn't cover. They couldn't do it because I gave you Vanderbilt. I gave you Vanderbilt.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. You're welcome, people. That's what I did. Another one of my winners. Florida was left for dead in mid-September, but they've covered 5 straight. Roll with the hot hand. Take Florida and all them points, plus 21.5, even if it is on the road. 3:30 Eastern on ACC at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh. 5-4 North Carolina State's a 3-point home chalk versus 6-3 Duke, and the total set at 50.5. NC State's won 2 straight over the Bay Area ACC schools, while Duke has dropped 3 out of 4. Give me the Wolfpack here at home and lay the field goal. 3:30 Eastern on ESPN at Lane Stadium in Blacksburg. 19th ranked Clemson is a 6.5-point road favorite at 5-4 Virginia Tech, and the total's 53.5. Clemson lost last week to Louisville. Another one of my winners.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. You're welcome. That's not a good loss for Clemson, and they now need to run the table to even have a chance to make it into the college football playoff. Va-Tech's covered 5 straight until last week when they were dogs and up a touchdown with 10 seconds left. A game-tying touchdown and an overtime loss by a touchdown stung, but it was not the norm. Hokies at home are no joke. Va-Tech plus 6.5 at home, Lane Stadium, winner. 3:30 Eastern on FS1 at Arrowhead Stadium in KC. 17th ranked Iowa State's a 3-point road favorite at 2-6 Kansas, and the total's 50.5. State had a tough loss to Texas Tech last week in another one of my winners.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. You're welcome. KU's a hot mess right now, and this looks like a bit of a trap, but I think the Cyclones bounce back from last week's loss. Iowa State -3 on the road. Give me a second. While I wait for Kamala, the Ugandan giant. 3:30 Eastern on CBS at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington. 8th-ranked Indiana is a 14.5-point home favorite versus 5-4 Michigan, and the total's 48.5. I'd really like to jump on IU and lay the hammer on a clearly inferior team that Michigan is, but that's a lot of gravy to leave on the plate here. Instead, I'll look at the Hoosier offense and say they score 35 points. Michigan scores 17. It goes over 48.5. 3:30 Eastern on ABC at the Grove in Oxford. 2nd-ranked Georgia is a 2.5-point road favorite at number 16 Mississippi, and the total's 55.5. This game is just one of the many big-time SEC matchups that show why the SEC is the best conference in the nation. And it is every single week when you get multiple games like this. UGA's lone loss to Bama in late September was an outlier. And they've been cruising since, including a massive win at then number 1 Texas 3 weeks ago. Ole Miss has dropped 2, not in a row, but both were by a field goal to SEC foes. The Rebels refound their offense that struggled for 5 games, and they look good right now. Call me nuts, but I like Ole Miss right here. It's just at home catching 2.5 with the sprinkle. 40.
Sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle.
Attaboy, Earl. While we're at it, right, I can't take Ole Miss without dropping this on you. Are you ready? Hell yeah, damn right. Hotty toddy, gosh almighty, who the hell are we? Hey, flim flam, bim bam, Ole Miss, bye, damn. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, you know. Sorry. 4 Eastern on Big Fox at Jones AT&T Stadium in Lubbock. Number 21, Colorado's a 3-point road favorite at 6-3 Texas Tech, and the total's listed at 62.5. Dion's Buffaloes have surprised most this season, including me, and are now ranked. Texas has one bad loss. Tech has one bad loss, and that was at home last month to a bad Baylor team. But the Raiders are now coming off a massive win in Ames over previously unbeaten Iowa State. Tech is the play here at home, catching 3.5. with a sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
Attaboy, Earl. 4:15 Eastern on SEC Network at First Bank Stadium right here in Music City, USA. 5-3 South Carolina is a 3.5-point road favorite at 6-3 Vanderbilt, and the total's 46.5. Your boy Stoney will be in attendance, going to the GAM on Saturday. USC's played well for 3 straight weeks, while Vandy's one of the big surprises of the college football season, and they've won 4 out of 5. During that time, they have wins over Alabama and at Auburn, which may not look that good because it's Auburn, but it is a very big deal here in Music City for the Commodores. They also had a 3-point loss to Texas, so they're playing everyone very well. Carolina's problem is that they tend to get inconsistent. I'm going to roll with the hot hand right here. You just have to. Anchor down. Give me Vandy at home. +3 with a sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
Attaboy. 7 Eastern on ESPN at General Neyland Stadium on Rocky Top. 7th ranked Tennessee is a 23.5-point home chalk versus 2-7 Mississippi State, and the total 61.5. UT's offense hasn't been nearly as good as most thought they'd be, including myself, but their defense is more than made up for it. They are legit. The thing that gets me, just Mississippi State's defense is a total disaster. Now they have to go to Rocky Top at night? Ouch. Vols roll here, -23.5, and you must forgive my singing, but I'm going to have to. Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top. Woo! Rocky Top, Tennessee. Sorry. Thank you for placating me there. Now, and another reason why the SEC just absolutely rocks. 7:30 Eastern on ABC at Tiger Stadium in Collin, Baton Rouge. 11th ranked Alabama's a 3-point road favorite at 14th ranked Louisiana State, and the total's 58.5. Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin criticized the NCAA for giving LSU another home night game for good reason. LSU wins at home at night. That's just their history. I told you all they would lose in College Station 2 weeks ago, and they were beaten badly. Now both schools have had the week off, and LSU lives up to their name. Louisiana State. Give me Bama, lay the field goal based on the fact that I trust Milroe more than I trust Nussmeier. 7:30 Eastern on NBC in front of Touchdown Jesus in South Bend. 10th ranked Notre Dame's a 25.5-point home favorite over 1-8 Florida State, and the total's 42.5. This number proves how far FSU's fallen because Bobby Bowden would never have been a 26-point dog to Lou Holtz back in the day. The Irish are rolling right now. FSU will get curb stomped here, period. 42.5 is a small number, but that's because FSU can't score. Irish -25 and a chunk at home. 8 Eastern on Peacock at Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. 6th ranked Penn State is 13.5-point home favorites versus 5-4 Washington, and the total set at 45.5. Penn State beats everyone except Ohio State and Michigan. Been saying it for years. Be careful here, though, as Penn State doesn't want to lose twice to Ohio State. Yeah, I had Ohio State last week.
Hoo-ah!
You're welcome for that. PSU, they're going to win. They're going to get this game. They get the W, but it ain't going to be easy. Give me UW and the points, period. 10:15 Eastern on ESPN at Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake Stony. 9th ranked Brigham Young is a 4-point road favorite at 4-4 Utah, and the total's 41.5 in the 102nd Holy War. Quick history for you. BYU is owned and administered by the LDS Church, and Utah is a secular public university with a massive LDS student population, while the current president and head football coach Kyle Whittingham at Utah are also members of the LDS Church. Utah, BYU, and Utah State play a series, and the trophy is the Beehive Boot. These two schools should play every year, period. The fact that they haven't met in 3 years just doesn't make any sense. NCAA's got to get their shit together here. Okay, as far as this one goes, BYU's unbeaten, and they're ranked 9th while they've been rolling through the Big 12. And Utah's fallen off a cliff after starting 4-0 because they've lost 4 straight. This is a great coaching matchup also between Whittingham and BYU's Kalani Sitake. Rice Eccles is loud and crazy, but BYU is, no pun intended, on a mission right now. BYU -4. I've hit 3 of the last 4 degenerate specials, so I now sit at 6-4-1 on the season. This week's late night Get Right goes at 10:30 Eastern on the CW network at Martin Stadium in Pullman. 20th ranked Washington State's a 20.5-point home favorite versus 2-6 Utah State, and the total 70.5. 70.5. Think about that. Wazoo's lone loss was a month and a half ago on the Smurf turf in Boise while cruising through the rest of the Mountain West schools. Utah State snapped a 5-game slide by beating Wyoming last week. I took Utah State twice this year and got burned twice. Not going to happen a third time. Washington State -21.5 on the Palouse to close out the week in college football. That's 17 NCAA plays on Saturday. When added to the one tonight and the 2 on Friday, that means we got 20 this week with only 4 weeks left in the regular season before conference tournaments precede bowl season. That's plenty, right? So now let's move on and let's hit the NFL. Let's turn the page, Kamala. Turn the page. Well, isn't that what America did last night? They turned the page from you. No more of you and Sleepy Joe. Let's go, Brandon. Actually, he's been the man lately. Every time he opens his mouth, no, forget it. I told you, I'm not going to, get too much in there. All right. Week 10, NFL Sunday, 9:30 Eastern on NFL Network at Allianz Arena in Munich. The NFL really decided to stick it to the Germans and play a horrible joke on them by giving them 2-7 Giants as 4.5-point favorites versus the 2-7 Panthers. And the total's 41.5. 2 god-awful teams meet up in further proof that the college game is better than the pro game. This is terrible. Have to pick someone? Giants, I guess, -4.5. Because the NFL doesn't want a New York team to go all the way there and lose to a team from Charlotte. Fix. 1 Eastern on Fox at Soldier Field in the Windy City. 4-4 Chicago is a 6.5-point home favorite versus 2-7 New England. And the total's 39.5. 2 more bad teams meeting here. Chicago beats up on bad teams, but the Bears have some major internal issues right now, including a possible mutiny aimed at head coach Matt Eberflus. It pains me to say this, but give me the Bears at home -6.5. And while we're at it, let's also hit the under, 39.5. 1 Eastern on CBS at Lucas Oil Stadium in Stoniapolis. Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Sorry about that. Don't know where that came from. 7-2 Buffalo is a 4-point road favorite at the 4-5 Colts, and the total set at 47. Buffalo at 7-2 shows that in the modern NFL, you can win your division going away by beating who you're supposed to and losing to good teams. The Bills have won 4 straight and beat some of the terrible teams along the way. Indy's a classic middle-of-the-road team that always seems to be hanging around. What was that word, Teddy?
Hanging around. Kids got alligator blood.
Yes, the Indianapolis Colts clearly have alligator blood. Colts catching 4 at home. They're the play here. 1 Eastern on CBS at racially insensitive Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. The 8-0 Chiefs are 8.5-point home favorites versus 5-4 Denver, and the total's 41.5. Denver's defense, that's all we hear about. But they're another team that can't beat good teams. Case in point, another blowout loss, right? That's what happens when you play good teams, right? 41-10 in Buffalo last Sunday. One of my many wins.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. You're welcome. KC's going to win this one as usual, but they don't cover as usual. Give me the Broncos and all them points. Have to. 1 Eastern on Fox at the Superdome in the Big Easy. 6:30, 6-3 Atlanta is a 3.5 point road favorite at 2-7 New Orleans, and the total's 46.5. The Falcons are starting to look like they can run away with the NFC South, and the Saints have lost 7 straight and fired head coach Dennis Allen yesterday, leaving open perhaps the most undesirable job in the NFL. The problem for the Falcons here is that teams usually play well the very first week after firing a head coach. Give me the Saints plus 3.5 at home on the Bayou.
Son of a gun, we'll have big fun on the bayou.
Attaboy, Hank. 1 Eastern on Fox at the Big Sombrero in Tampa. 4-4 San Francisco is a 5.5 point road favorite at the 4-5 Buccaneers, and the total's 50.5. Tampa was very, very game on Monday night in Kansas City before falling short in overtime. Though I did get you the cover there.
Hoo-ah!
That's right. Something like that. You're welcome. SF had a week off to get healthy after beating Dallas 2 weeks ago. And healthy they're getting. Enter Christian McCaffrey. Extra rest versus short rest. SF minus 5.5 on the road. 1 Eastern at Northwest Stadium in Landover. 7-2 Washington is a 2.5 point home favorite versus 6-2 Pittsburgh, and the total's 45.5. These are the exact same teams. 2 teams that will be in the playoffs because they beat all the bad teams on their schedule. The Commando Skins have won 3 straight over a murderer's row of the Giants, the Bears, and the Panthers. Not exactly ruthless. While the Steelers have also won 3 in a row with wins over the Raiders and both New York teams, the Jets and Giants. New Jersey teams, I should have said. It's painful to even say. Man, Steelers plus 2.5 on the road with a sprinkle.
Big timer.
Come with it, Earl. What do I have to do?
Sprinkle me, man.
Gotta sprinkle it. 1 Eastern on Big Fox at Everbank Stadium in Duval County. The 6-2 Vikings are 4 point road favorites at 2-7 Jacksonville, and the total set at 46.5. Mini got the win on Sunday night in a game that I gave you.
Hoo-ah!
You're welcome for that, by the way. And Jayville, on the other hand, they've covered 3 straight, including another one of my wins.
Sprinkle me, man.
Oh, sprinkle me, man. Sprinkle me, man. Ugh.
Big time.
Ugh. Yeah. Got that one a little jacked up. Minnesota is going to exploit those holes in the Jacksonville defense because there's lots of them right now. I like Jacksonville, and they've been covering, but I'm going to go with some chalk here because Jayville's defense just can't be trusted.
Get trusted! Get trusted!
No.
Get trusted!
You just can't. All right. Vikings on the road, -4. 4 Eastern on Fox at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Always up to no good. The 5-3 Chargers are 7.5 point home favorites over 2-6 Tennessee, and the total's 38. After losing 2 out of 3 by being the Chargers won their last 2 over Cleveland and New Orleans. Top notch. Tennessee, on the other hand, halted a 3-game slide by beating Super Bowl favorite New England in overtime. Chargers win easily as Tennessee might not even score. Chargers -7.5, and while we're at it, under 38 in a game that's got 17-3 written all over it. 4:25 Eastern on CBS at Jerry World in Arlington. 6-2 Stoniecast is a 7.5 point road favorite at 3-5 Dallas, and the total's 41.5. The Cowboys have lost 3 straight. Now the NFL's highest paid player, Dak Prescott, is on the shelf, while Philly is like so many others. They've won 4 straight over the Jags, the Bungles, the Giants, and the Browns. The good news for Philly is that Dallas is also bad. Eagles -7.5. 4:25 Eastern on CBS at State Farm Stadium in Glendale. The 5-4 Cardinals are 1 point home favorites over the 3-6 Jets, and the total's 46. Zona has inexplicably won 3 straight and 4 of 5, and the Jets have extra rest after taking out Houston last Thursday, meaning they have extra rest, right? The NFL badly wants the Jets to win this one, right? And they will. Conspiracy, Jets with the sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
Attaboy, Jets, Jets. I hit last Sunday night with the Vikings, getting me to 6-4 on the season after waiting all day for Sunday night. After hitting the last three, this week we got the game of the week, 8:20 Eastern on NBC at Energy Stadium in the H-Town. As the 7-1 Lions are 3-point road favorites at 6-3 Houston, and the total's 49. Two teams headed for the playoffs meet up, with the Lions having won 5 straight and looking every bit like the class of the NFC. Houston's lost 2 out of 3, including a loss to the Jets last Thursday. But I think Houston gets it right this time after extra rest and some home cooking. Texans catching 3 at home with a sprinkle.
Sprinkle me, man.
There you go. After hitting the Buccaneers on Monday night, I'm now an even 6-1 on the season on Monday night. Dun, 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 dun. So this week's version goes at 8:15 Eastern on ESPN at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. Always up to no good. Where the 4-4 Rams are 2.5-point home favorites versus 2-6 Bienvenidos a Miami. And the total is 50.5. I've truly lost my mind. I'm just giddy after last night. LA's won 3 straight while the Fins have dropped 3 in a row. Miami was in Buffalo last week, came home for a few days, now fly cross country to La La Land. Miami's toast while the Rams are healthy. LA minus 2.5, and while we're at it, jump on the over too at 50.5 to close out the week. 2 bad defenses. That's 16 NFL plays to go along with 20 college football and 9 college hoops plays, giving us 45, which is just fine. But with daily college hoops, this will be the most picks we've had all season up till now, and those are just going to go up. So prepare yourselves to be inundated with plays just to fire on. Make sure to check the comments section for daily hoops picks, and check back next Wednesday as Stoniecast number 151 is going to drop at you. So until then, just remember that if you want to win big, you got to bet big. You can't go broke taking a profit. Scared money don't make money. For me, the action is the juice. The difference between making money is but the difference between winning and making money is that anyone can win betting chalk, but you can't make money unless you take the dogs. Do you want to win or do you want to make money? Big difference. You decide. There's money on the streets that can't be ignored. And finally, good luck to you. And yet, Gooch, I still miss you, my brother.
Pay him. Pay that man his money.